Talking about job hunting and transition advice with career counselor Randy Wooden. Thanks so much for being with us. Before we get to your calls, though, let's go ahead and get some advice for all job seekers. First of all, we hear about networking and its importance. Why?
Well, there are so many ways to get the word out now with internet and telephone and answering ads from the newspaper that networking, when you really get down to it, people buy from people they know and they trust. And same thing when it comes to hiring. If I've got two people that might be pretty evenly qualified, chances are I'm going to go with the one I'm most comfortable with, and that usually means that I knew them in advance, or I knew somebody who could recommend them. So it's important to try to get the edge any way you can, and that's through networking.
Another tip is to be prepared with phones and emails, and have job seekers need to have an answering machine, or maybe a voicemail, maybe some professional sounding email address instead of hotmama@yahoo.com, right?
I actually had a client like that, and I also had a client one time who had about a 45-second politically motivated answering machine that, whether you agree with it or not, the point was that that's their first impression of you, whether it's through the voicemail, whether it's an email address, or whether you walk in with you know, an appearance that doesn't promote a business whatever.
Yeah.
That first impression means a lot, whether it's over the phone or in person.
Should job seekers follow up with a thank you note or even a call a day or so after the interview?
You bet. Think about sales, for example. You hear about in sales how you need to touch the customer a certain number of times before they actually buy. And the follow-up is a way to differentiate yourself. A lot of times in today's society, we don't say thank you. We just don't acknowledge acts of kindness or acts of anything, really. So this will help separate you. Plus, it also gives you a chance to smooth over anything that maybe you didn't fully explain in the interview. It gives you another chance to touch the customer. So it's a good thing to do.
All right. Well, let's go to the phone lines where we have Tamika in Winston-Salem with a question. Good morning, Tamika.
Good morning.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I was calling because I had a question. I had got into some trouble when I was 16 years old, and I have a criminal record. I have a felony on my criminal record, and I haven't been in any trouble since then, and I feel like that sometimes they discriminate because of that. But I was wanting to know, should they, and
should they be able to discriminate? Is that...
I thought, like, after a certain amount of years that, you know, they don't hold it against you.
I'm not an attorney, and I don't play one on TV. So I would always suggest that you talk to an attorney to find out what your rights are. I mean, there are discrimination laws, and you need to be aware of those. Here again, something might have happened 20 years ago. Is that relevant today? Maybe not, but here again, if that's all they see of you is conviction or whatever, then they may just pass and go on to somebody else. But you might want to check from a legal standpoint to see what the situation really would be.
Sometimes, depending upon the charge, I think you can have your record expunged. But you know, if it's a felony, it's going to be on your record. Is it good advice to acknowledge that up front and say, look, I made a mistake when I was 16?
You bet. Absolutely. And it's, the same thing applies too. If you look at somebody's resume and they have had a lot of different jobs, there may be reasons for that. But you know what? If you don't take the initiative and explain that to somebody, then the other person assumes the worst and just doesn't want to get involved.
Right. All right. Let's go back to the phone lines. We have Dawn standing by. Good morning, Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is, I am a nurse. I have several small children at home, and I have done office work in the hospital. I've also done a lot of home health. I'm looking to find a job that will allow me to work actually in my home base as a nurse. I've researched on the internet. I've looked in several nursing magazines under their advertisements, and the only thing I find is really home health, which requires you to go out into the patient home. I'm looking for something that would allow me to work as a legal nurse consultant or the 24-hour nurse on call from the home, and cannot find any businesses to contact. So I wondered if you had anything that would give me any direction there.
Tough question. I actually don't do much in my business consulting with people in the medical field for a variety of reasons. One thing you might want to do is to check. There are staffing companies and search firms who do recruit specifically for dentists or doctors. And even if they don't have job orders for jobs that you could do from home, they would probably know of companies who might look to employ you. That might be the way to go. You might want to check. Actually, you could check with maybe your doctor's office or your dentist office and say, hey, are there companies who call on them for job orders? And
those jobs do exist. I actually have a friend who just got one like that. She is a nurse and left the hospital to work from home because she had small children too. So, you know, keep doing your research. It's there. It's just sometimes you gotta dig a little deeper. Andy, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. It's good to see you again.